Guys, get ready because today I'm going to tell you the most disturbing and disgusting story in all of Greek mythology. And this is a tough competition. It's about Tantalus, the king who committed the most unforgivable crime against the gods and against human nature itself. If you think you've seen evil in Greek mythology, you haven't seen anything yet. This story will shatter any illusions you have about moral boundaries in antiquity. Tantalus was king of Phrygia and son of Zeus, meaning he had divine blood running through his veins. He was one of the most privileged mortals who ever lived. The man had everything: infinite wealth, absolute power, direct access to the gods. Zeus treated him like a favorite son and even invited him to dinner on Olympus regularly. Imagine the honor! Tantalus was practically the only mortal who could sit at the table of the gods as an equal. He knew all the divine secrets, participated in cosmic decisions. But that's the problem. Too much privilege went to his head. Tantalus began to think he was better than other mortals. "I'm different," he thought. "I'm practically a god too." And he began to test the limits of divine patience. First, he stole nectar and ambrosia, the sacred food of the gods, and gave them to his mortal friends. It was like sharing divine state secrets. Zeus was irritated but forgave him. "Oh, you naughty boy, but don't do that anymore." Then, Tantalus began sharing the secrets he heard on Olympus with other mortal kings. He completely violated divine trust. Zeus gave him a more serious scolding. "Tantalus, you're abusing your privileges. Behave." But Tantalus wouldn't stop. He was addicted to defying divine authority. Then the episode that broke everything. Tantalus stole a sacred golden dog from the temple of Zeus in Crete, a magical dog that protected divine treasures. And when Zeus asked if he had seen the animal, Tantalus lied to his face. "What golden dog? I've never seen a golden dog in my life." People, imagine the audacity. Lying directly to Zeus, eye to eye. Zeus discovered the lie and was furious. But still, he gave his son one last chance. "Tantalus, you have deeply disappointed me, but I will forgive you once more. Don't make me regret it." And then Tantalus made the most monstrous mistake in the history of mythology. He decided to test the gods. "I'll find out if these gods are truly as omniscient as they say," thought the psychopath. "I'll prepare a special banquet and see if they realize." And what was that special ingredient Tantalus chose? His own son. People, Tantalus killed and cooked Pelops, his teenage son, and served him to the gods as if it were a normal banquet. The coldness and insanity of this act is indescribable. What father does this? What human being does this? Tantalus was so obsessed with testing the gods that he completely lost his humanity. He killed his own flesh and blood to satisfy his unhealthy curiosity. The banquet was organized with great pomp. Golden table, silver dishes, celestial music, and in the center of the table, served as the main course, cooked Pelops. The gods arrived for dinner unsuspectingly. Tantalus was eager to see if they would find out. But of course they found out right away. Zeus looked at the plate and exploded with fury. "Tantalus, what is this?" Poseidon was nauseated. Apollo had to run off to vomit. The divine indignation was so great that all of Olympus shook. You killed your own son and tried to make us eat him?" Zeus was literally spitting out lightning bolts of hatred. "Ah, you found out," Tantalus said with a psychopathic grin. So it's true you really are omniscient. His lack of remorse shocked even the gods. The guy was proud of what he had done. But there was one detail that made it even more grotesque. Demeter, the goddess of agriculture, was so shocked and distracted by the situation that she accidentally ate a piece of Pelops' shoulder before realizing what it was. When she realized it, she had a panic attack. "I ate a child. I ate a child." Zeus had to intervene quickly. He resurrected Pelops and replaced the piece Demeter had eaten with a shoulder of divine ivory. Pelops came back to life, but now he had an artificial shoulder that shone like a pearl. It was the permanent mark of his father's madness. And Tantalus? Tantalus received the most cruel and fitting punishment in Greek mythology. He was sent to Tartarus and condemned to eternal hunger and thirst. Zeus placed him in a beautiful pond, chest-deep in crystal-clear water. Above his head, fruit trees laden with delicious fruit. It seemed he would be able to eat and drink normally. Wrong. Every time Tantalus lowered his head to drink, the water receded too. Every time he reached out to grab a fruit, the branches rose. He spent eternity hungry and thirsty, seeing food and water inches away, but never being able to reach them. The punishment was perfect in its symbolism. Tantalus had everything in life and squandered it out of greed. Now he would have the illusion of having it all, but never being able to enjoy it. That's where the word tantalize comes from, when something is always almost within reach, but never reached. But people, the monstrousness of Tantalus' crime is unparalleled. He not only killed his own son, he cooked him and tried to make the gods commit cannibalism unknowingly. It was a violation of all divine and human laws at the same time. Filicide, cannibalism, sacrilege, betrayal of hospitality. And all for what? To satisfy a morbid curiosity. To test whether the gods were truly intelligent. The story of Tantalus shows what happens when someone completely loses their sense of moral boundaries. The man had privileges any mortal would dream of, and destroyed everything through arrogance and psychopathy. How often do we see this in real life? People who have everything and lose it because they don't know when to stop? Who destroy their own family out of ambition or pride? Tantalus is the ultimate example of how privilege without responsibility can create monsters. And poor Pelops. The boy was a victim of his father's madness, died a brutal death, was partially eaten, and still had to live forever with the physical scar of the trauma. At least he had a good life after the resurrection. He became king and founded a famous dynasty. But imagine the psychological trauma. The moral of the story is clear. No matter how much power you have, there are limits that should never be crossed. And children are not their parents' property to be used as instruments of revenge or testing. Tantalus' story is extreme, but it represents something that still happens. Parents who sacrifice their children's well-being for personal gain. Can you imagine someone being so monstrous in real life? And more importantly, do you think Tantalus' punishment was fair or too cruel? Leave your comments and subscribe for more stories about how Greek mythology had no limits to disturbance. And remember, if you think your families are dysfunctional, at least you don't have Tantalus as a father.